And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dogs and cats, elves and zebras, gypsies and fairies. Let's see. The light, no, just a glare there. Oh, it's a little better maybe. Okay. Let me see here. Sorry, I should have, done all the camera work and lighting before I started this. So, you can't see it, but on the stove over there, I have some homemade pemmican that is sitting to cool. I go over there and stir it now and then just to make sure it stays all mixed up. And for those who don't know what pemmican is, it's basically very, very dry meat. It doesn't have to be beef, but you can use deer, buffalo, beef, whatever. Tallow, which you have to use the good stuff, and I used the whole jar, but I had to measure everything to make sure the measurements were right. And there are cranberries and nuts. And what I basically did was, once the meat was ready, I put it in the blender, blended it up with the nuts and berries, and no seasoning. I did put honey in it. I did that. Thankfully, I remembered before it was too late, because I didn't measure how much honey I put in. I just put it in. But anyway, so this is not what I want to talk about in this video. I'm not going to mention the person because the person didn't give me permission to do so. So I just found this needle and thread. Believe it or not, I sew by hand. I don't. A beautiful woman in the other room there, she knows how to use sewing machines. I don't. Anyway, so yeah, first I want to say I am so sorry you've had to deal with hospitals like that. I know sometimes it's sad the way the system is set up. I have found far better care up here than I ever found in Texas. In the more rural areas, the care was usually better than in the more urban and suburban areas. Because doctors and whatnot have so many patients. They're going to get paid one way or another because, they have so many people that there are so many patients that need doctors that, they're still going to have patients that are going to get paid, so they don't care. And I know that sometimes in order to get an evaluation, change of medication, diagnoses, etc., sometimes you have to fake it. I know I've done that many, many times. Not since moving here, but back in Texas I did. It's like you're not suicidal, not even close, but you need either a medication adjustment or you need to see a doctor to get an evaluation or whatever, and you have to go and tell the people in the emergency room that you're suicidal, even when you're not. I mean, it's sad you have to make stuff up in order to get the help you need, and then when you make that stuff up, it can actually come back and bite you on the ass. But it's sad that you have to do that. Now, the county hospital in San Antonio, which is nothing like what they show on the TV, on that TV show. What's the name of that TV show you like? Night Shift, maybe? Okay. That, first of all, that's not where the hospital is located. The second, the hospital doesn't look like that. Third, that's not the way the employees behave. what it looks like when I've seen like the opening shots, it looks like they're taking the picture from Channel 4 in San Antonio. I think it was Channel 4. It's in City Center, and the shots look like that's where it's coming from that TV station. Maybe it's Channel 12. I don't remember. It's been too many years since I left. But you know, at the county hospital in San Antonio, it used to be, they had a good system going. If you needed help and they admitted you, and it was a little easier back then to get admitted, you would stay a week or longer. They actually had 2 units. One was more long-term, one was shorter term, although they were right next to each other. They used to have a pool table and ping pong and stuff in there. They don't have it anymore. Now you don't even stay a week. You stay 2 or 3 days, and they kick you out. Say, how are you going to be stabilized in 2 or 3 days? It's not going to happen. You can't even adjust to your medication in 2 or 3 days. It could take weeks, months maybe, depending on the medicine, depending on your condition and how severe it is and things like that. And you shouldn't have to go through all that. You really shouldn't. So, you know, that's one reason I believe in the free market, is so people can make these choices instead of things being forced on them. People can negotiate with doctors and whoever to make the best deal for each other. So, anyway. Now then you have, I made a video about this. You have Nick's Specialty, Nick's Behavioral Health on Vance Jackson near 410. You don't ever want to go there. You will either be ignored or you'll get a beat down. Or they'll inject you with drugs just to keep you quiet, even if you're not actually doing anything wrong. And I seriously wonder if all those suicides that supposedly take place at Nick's, if they're really suicides. It would not surprise me if some of those suicides are murder. And that really needs to be investigated. Methodist Specialty and Methodist Metropolitan, those had good psych units. Both hospitals had good psych units. I don't know what they're like now, but back then they had good units. And if you needed to stay more than a week, they would do what they had to keep you. Not a whole lot longer than a week, but you know, after the fire and my mother having Alzheimer's and all the BS that was going on, they actually kept me for like a week and a half at Metropolitan. And you know, they used to have social workers that would help you out with figuring out what to do when you get out of the hospital. I hope Methodist still does that, but I don't know. And you know, I mean, I remember when psych patients were back in the early and mid 70s and late 70s and early 80s. There was a lot of abuse. There was a huge amount of it. And nobody cared. I don't think many people care today. And for the person this video is aimed at, now I forget the name of it. Texas Disability Rights? It used to be called Advocacy Inc. I don't think they'll do anything for you. I don't think they'll help you out. It's just a bureaucracy. They'll give you one person to call. They'll give you somebody else to call. And then you have to call a different person and somebody else and another person. And it goes on and on and on like that. It's like the 511, I think they call it, where you can call this central number and they will provide you with either city or county numbers to call for whatever you need to call somebody about. 90% of the time, those numbers aren't even any good anymore. Either they don't work or they belong to somebody else now, or they never belonged to the person or agency in the first place. In San Antonio, they've pretty much, the city has pretty much outlawed private aid to the homeless, and which is sad. There used to be some good programs in San Antonio. They're not there anymore. One may still be there, but the others are gone because the city of San Antonio and the county of Bexar shut them down. But my understanding is Texas has one of the lowest funded, or is one of the lowest funding states for mental health care. Now there are some crazies up here. I usually refer to them as fascist, which they are, but a number of them have very serious mental illness. There's bipolar, there's schizophrenia, and they don't take medicine for it. And I don't believe a person should be forced to take medicine. But then you're going to have to suffer the consequences of not doing that. There's a video here on YouTube of one of those fascists coming that close to assaulting a person. I'll tell you, if somebody got in my face like that, I would not expect it to just be verbal. And, hey Maggie. And, that person has schizophrenia. I've seen the person walking down the street talking to themselves. You know, they're talking to other people or things, but only they can see it. I mean, they're what they're talking to, who they're talking to, are very real to them, but not to anybody else. Hey Maggie. Hey, say hi. Say hi. Oh, I don't like being picked up. But anyway, I've gotten better care up here. My wife got better care up here, and I go through my family doctor, but I'm stable. I take medicine. I don't believe people should be forced to take medicine, but like I said, you're going to have to suffer the consequences of your actions if you don't take that medicine, or do whatever you need to do. See a counselor. You know, there was I don't know where he is now, but he was he pulled guns and knives on his wife. He beat his wife, and she still loves him and wants to be with him. As far as I know, they're not together anymore because she doesn't want to get beat anymore or kidnapped. She had to call the cops to get away from him. And the people in Keene, the people in Keene were like, oh, well, he hit her once before, so she should know better. Obviously, you're a bunch of idiots and you don't understand domestic violence. And you don't understand psychology or anything like that. But you're idiots. You know? That's what you are. But mental health care, if you have money, you can get damn good care. But if you ain't got no money, you ain't going to get good care. I mean, I saw people getting sickeningly horrible, awful treatment, and they thought they were being treated well. They don't know what good treatment is. You would need to sit down with them and talk to them, and as they tell you things, they're like, but I thought you said that they were good to you there, but they beat you, or they injected you and kept you asleep 99% of the time. That's not good care. They didn't sit there and listen to you or have a conversation with you about what's going on. Maybe when they admitted you, maybe when you see the doctor, will that last 5, 10, 15 minutes? Come on now. That's not good care. So, and I know you want to come visit. I would love you to come visit. I'd love you and your husband to move up here. But and you wouldn't get. I don't know what you receive. Medicaid, Medicare, whatever. You wouldn't be able to get that right away. You'd have to apply for it, but it would happen pretty fast, probably, at least compared to Texas. We're a smaller, mostly rural and semi-rural state. There are definitely cities here, but they're mostly near the coast on the southeastern side of the state, and not really anywhere else. They call Keene a city. Not really. It's a big town, not a city. But where we live is a small town, medium-sized town, 2,000 people. But I only know of 2 hospitals that are right around here. And next time I have a heart thing, whatever, I have no intention of going back to the hospital in Keene. And I'm talking to my doctor about this stuff. And I hope I get a survey like Lisa was saying earlier. They're not going to get a good response. You don't tell somebody, well, the doctor's in the other room, and an hour later the doctor's still in the other room. You've been there 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 hours. There's plenty of time to do something. Anyway, you might get good care up in Lebanon at Dartmouth, which is associated with the hospital here, and the other one that's near here. I think it's associated with the other one near here. Oh, they are? Yeah, okay. Do you see that moth flying around here? No, the camera. My audience. Anyway, so, I can't say you would get good care or better care or bad care or worse care here. I don't know. I mean, I do okay, but then my family doctor is the one who prescribes my psych meds. Actually, she prescribes all my meds. Well, no. Yeah, she prescribes all my meds right now. Initially, some of my heart meds were prescribed by the cardiologist up in Lebanon at Dartmouth. But, she's the one, the family doctor is the one who continues the prescribing of them. And I got pissed off at her nurse a few months ago because I'm like, I need... Oh, yeah. I'm like, I was calling because I needed to get my heart medicine. I need to be back on my medicine and, on the right medicine, on the right doses. And I talked to the nurse, and the nurse said, well, you're the one who's supposed to know all this. I'm like, you're the nurse, and you work for the doctor. You have my records. I don't have access to that stuff. You do, and I'm asking you, what medicines am I supposed to be taking, and what's the dosage? And you say you don't know? Excuse me, you're not a very good nurse, are you? So, yeah, I mean, after last night's episode, I'm like, I don't know. But up until last night, I was pretty happy with medical care up here. But yeah, psych care, it's like they don't want to give you care. A lot of places, it's like you're just... It was a pantry moth, people. Anyway, I killed it because those things get in your food and they lay eggs. Nasty. And they'll get in your hot chilies, and don't ask me how they get into some containers because I don't know. But yeah, psych care can be difficult. Good psych care can be difficult to find. I'm sorry you're having to deal with all that. I wish Well, if I had the money, you would go see a great psychiatrist. But sadly, I don't have, money to do that. And if you didn't have transportation, I'd make sure there was a way for you to go. But anyway, I need to go back and I need to stir my pemmican to make sure it doesn't separate. So sorry it's so long, but I hope you get something out of this.